Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to another LEGO City update. Today we're going to be working on the island details, specifically the water and the coastline. So of course we've brought down a bunch of parts here to create that water detail and to bulk up some of the rock work, add our mini beaches, and we've just got like so many different shades of blue and a giant bin of smaller elements that are going to help us create this interesting effect. I think we should start here and go from there. Here we go with the first section of water detail. It's an exciting day because this is just going to like completely transform the look of the island. You'll see me on the left there. I'm actually revising some of the rock work. That corner was a bit square, so I brought those panels out. I'm brick building some of it, and I'm also replacing some of the panels with the corners, so it sort of bulges out toward the other like inlet there. I think that's going to look a lot better in the end and just provide a better shape for the island. And Mrs. Bricksie, she's working on the water detail, so the closer you are to shore, we're going to go with the azure pieces and then the dark azure, blue, dark blue, and black. And I'm creating a little beach right there in the inlet. So I did that with the dark tan pieces, just framed it or like created the curved shape. And then I put the tan toward the rocks. And then once again, started laying down the bluish plates to create the water effect. So just like that, we've changed the dynamic of this whole little area right here. Did some grading with the beach and also added that little bulge on the second island there. And we can always do more grading. You'll see like up against the bulge that I created, there's just like some 2x4 bricks laid down. I can always add more like 2x gray brick on top of that and 1x, and then we can start adding different rocks and stuff like the slopes as well. And that's why you'll see I'm actually laying gray bricks down in front of the panels because that's going to give us an additional 2 studs to add that slope detail. And that's on the left side there. And we've started creating our first little islands as well. So there's just some rocks right in the middle there. We're gonna put little islands all throughout the water. And I think we're gonna be able to create some really fun stories with those. So Mrs. Bricksie, she's gonna continue doing the water detail there. You can see there's still quite a bit of tan and light gray exposed on those base plates, but we're getting there. Our goal is to do all of the base construction underneath the bridge there and work this way. But when I have a look at this area here, yeah, this corner, once again, it looks a little bit too squarish. So we're actually going to change up the shape of this corner as well, just to round it out a bit. So first off, deconstruction and the outline for the new rock work using 2x dark gray brick. While I was doing that, Mrs. Bricksie continued to work on the water detail here. So you can see that larger island like right in front of her, and then there's a little bit of like break off coming off of it. And there's another one on the right side of the screen there. It looks like a T or a cross almost. And then just in front of that, there's a 2x brick on some dark azure. That represents another island that we're gonna create. And we can always create more of these little mini islands on top of the water detail, but we might have to change the color of the plate around it. That's why it's good to do it in advance. Swooping back over here, I've started building up some of the rock work, specifically up by the bridge there. So that interior corner, it's like rough draft rock work is now done. And now I just need to fill in this giant hole. This water detail, it takes a ton of pieces, but it's definitely worth it in the end. And of course, we still need to go through and add our waves and the 1x2 trans light blue tiles on top. So that's gonna be a whole nother process. We don't wanna do that until we have the rock work done, because the rock work, the slopes and stuff that are gonna detail all the rocks are gonna go on top of the plates. You can't put those on top of tiles. So the tiling sort of comes after all of that detail. Now this giant hole has been filled in, definitely looking a lot better over here. It's still looking pretty squarish, but this is just the base construction. And I think once we blend in that green plate, which is just a right angle, it'll look a lot better. And Mrs. Bricksie is about to start working on the water detail in the center there between the two islands. And I'm working on the water detail on the other side. And we're gonna connect in the middle underneath the bridge there. Yeah, this is where it's really gonna start pulling these two islands together. And once again, the water detail is just sort of really elevating the look of the islands. I'm loving it. The first bit of water detail that I wanted to do over here was actually the dark tan and tan, because this is another little beach inlet. And then along the bulge that we created, I did a little bit of dark tan just to represent like some shallows, because of course the 1x2 tiles can go over top of that. And then I did the azure colors in blue, and you can see Mrs. Bricksie is now up against the bridge there. And now I've got to work toward that. But slowly but surely, you're seeing those tan base plates disappear. No need to use blue base plates because we're just going to cover it up with blue and black and dark blue and azures and stuff. So yeah, that's why we use all these random colors underneath the water. It doesn't really matter. We may as well just use whatever we have in our inventory. But we filled in that whole chunk going up to the major beach. That's some major progress. It's official, everybody. Mrs. Bricksie and I are connecting water-wise underneath the bridge there, just using all the different plates. It's like 1x, 2x corner plates. 4x is typically the largest plate that I want to use, unless you're like way out in the depths and it's mostly black or dark blue. And we do have some other plates that we were able to salvage, so that's why there's some tiles laid down there. Overall, this was a pretty long day of just standing around laying down a lot of pieces. Your legs start to hurt after a while, but we actually entertain ourselves by listening to Audible. We were listening to the Harry Potter books. We finished the first book, The Philosopher's Stone, and now we're starting the Chamber of Secrets. It's pretty cool. We just got our speaker there and we're listening to some good audio books while laying down thousands of Lego parts. So this is what the end product looks like. However, we're probably going to remove the trans dark blue tiles, or like the 1x4s, and use all trans light blue. I just think it looks better, and we need to get more of those 2x2 slopes in transparent for the wave detail. But it's cool because that's what it looks like underneath all of those tiles. Like, it looks like this. So the tiles just like add another layer of detail. And I'm really excited about the detailed stories that we can create on these little bursts of rock throughout the ocean. And of course, it's not going to look like that. We're going to round it off with slopes and add vegetation, but we can make stories on there like seals and stuff like that, seagulls even. And there's going to be a giant one right here. Well, not giant, but much bigger. And that's why we've started creating a rounded shape with the dark blue, because we're going to work in the different colors. So we have plans for a larger piece of rock in the middle, but this is where we decided to end for now. We do have our rock work in the corner here, which once again can be tapered a little bit more, and you can see we've got some studs to work with as we work our way toward the bridge. But I love the fact that the water is now connected to the other side. Yeah, that is just beauty. Glad that we were able to work on like both sides rather than just working on one side. I think it was important for us to change the dynamic of this little inlet here, because it just looks so much better with the pops of tan and blue. And then also just a little bit of dark tan on the other side. I think that adds a nice pop of color as well. And once again, these rocks here, we're going to taper them a little bit more with the studs that we have available using various pieces. But you can see like how that really is just starting to pull this whole project together. It's an island, and one of the most important things is the water detail. You see this little inlet here? We're actually going to create a larger beach, larger than the ones that we created earlier today, but smaller than the other one in the Lego City, of course. And it's going to be tapered down, blending in those rock panels, and we're really going to experiment with quite the grade. But I'm really excited about the outcome of these ones here, and I can't wait to experiment with a bigger version of that. So Mrs. Bricksie and I were dealing with some other stuff today, but we were able to lay parts down for 5 hours roughly. So there's 2 of us doing it, so that took about 10 hours. Definitely a lot more to do, but once we get it all done around the edges here, it's going to look pretty cool. And we're also going to have to do a lot more tapering up against those rock panels, but then we've got to do it all the way along here. Now we decided to start with the bigger area. Of course, this is a big area by the bridge as well. So hopefully we can get that done in the next day. But then we're only going to have these smaller sections left, which are just like 20 studs going up against those rock panels. And we have some other plates that we can recycle there. So yeah, there we go, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the update here. This is the first day of us starting to add water detail to the island. Yes, what an exciting day. I can't wait to continue in the next one. Thank you so much for coming on by. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Have a great day. Bye for now.